Okay, so now in this session we are going to learn how to import a DICOM into the coDiagnostiX and also how to clean it and then add to it the STL or the intraoral scan. So with this we go to new and then we look for the folder. And sometimes these folders are, it depends where you put them. So this one, I put it on desktop. So we're gonna go to desktop and it's Harry, meet Sally. And we're gonna take the CBCT and we select the folder. And when we do that, then we press import and POM, it imports it. Okay, so now it gives you the name, the date, when it was taken, and date of birth. So now you press OK, and it populates it in coDiagnostiX, and it opens it automatically. Okay, so now that's the thing. In this case, it is number 10, so it's a maxilla. We press maxilla and would say okay. So the plan will be only maxilla. So now the steps are the following. You follow this. So now the first one is segmentation. What it means is it takes the DICOM, Okay, so now we get this image, and again, you can see here when it was taken with the head up. So that might be a little bit of a problem. See, this is what it should be. This is what we'll see later on. We can fix it in the coordinate. More important for bigger cases than a small case. Okay, so now we go here and we pick the maxilla. See, maxilla, since we are working on the maxilla. We press on the button here. And then I go down here and I say bone, and all of a sudden, oops, it removes the skin. And then I immediately move this all the way high. This is what happens to the teeth. You want them as clean as possible. So you put it up and you can see it removes them. Now we have the scatter. And this is where, you can, when you put bone, when you press bone, it takes you to this amount of density. So I like to increase it to a 600, 700. Now, when you do that, look at the amount of scatter that has been removed. Now, if you keep doing it, you can clean more the scatter, but the bone starts getting porous. You can even go all the way up and you can remove all the bone. You can go down, you can have the roots. Right? So this is what this controls. So we want to be at somewhere here before porous reduction of the, and then we go back up here. All right, so now we have this done. Now I go to the scissor. And what I mean by the scissor, I go like this. I remove the upper from the bottom. And I paint it. So I press on paint. Now it excludes it. Now what I do is I go back and I eliminate the source. So it removes the part that I don't want. It takes this out. Now I don't like when the jaw become colored like this. I'm classic. I like, the bone color, which is the beige. And now I start cleaning it up. So I go to this. And now you have two sizes. This is a big size, which cuts even more, or you can have smaller if you want a little bit more detail. So you can try to remove the scatter, and like for instance, I secluded it like this. I go back to the bucket and I press on this and it takes it out. So if you have a big piece or you are segmenting to take the bone, you can do that. I don't like it much, because I'm faster like this than the other one. So now I go back to the other side. Since we are working on 10, I want to clean this. Now you can spend hours cleaning. It's not really necessary, but if you are OCD like me, it drives you nuts. So you need to calm yourself and cut it off. Otherwise, you will spend hours on cleaning, which is unnecessary. So now this image is pretty clean, right? Now, okay, see, this is my OCD coming back. I'm removing this, removing that. Oh, really, it's not necessary. The good thing in this image, you can see you have clear teeth that you will be able to merge with the STL later on. Doesn't happen all the time. I want you to be aware of this. And again,
you can set up being like that, it would kind of be a cluster. Like it won't be as clear, like a cluster.
No, that doesn't matter, honestly, because this is, the more you clean on the teeth, the teeth will look, let me show you. So if you do it like this, see this? If you come close to the tooth when you do that, and you will not recognize the tooth. It makes it a flat surface. Look, it doesn't help. So what you do is you just try to clean up to see some points that they are in your way. See here, he has a space, so I cleaned it up because the scatter moved. So now I'm done. I press back home. It takes me back to the center. Now you say, where is it? I remove the default, and there you go. Okay. Now the second point is this, the coordinates. That's not important for a single tooth, but let's say, see how they had the head up. All right. So that's not the way the patient should be. So I flattened it. Here you can see it went down, but it's not down enough, because you have to imagine the patient is looking at you, right? And now the patient has turned to the right, so I can do it like this. And now I am centering the patient to look. But now what I did is it moved the whole jaw like that. Okay, it might be like this. The patient might be like that, so it's okay. For this is not important, but when you're doing a full upper case, that's a very important thing. Okay, so now it corrected it, so the view for you is good. Now we go to the curve, and the curve is to line up the maxilla. So. And then, now we go back here. Now I am in it, and I put on the premolar area. This is the premolar, and this is 16, which is the wisdom, and you follow this here. So now you click OK, and then you can see the panoramic lined up. Okay, so it's a step. I don't care much about it. Now, if we're doing the mandibular, this is where you go to the nerve. Now we go for the implant planning. So I do the implant. I press implant, and again, I'm going to pause back. So let's say we are doing a Straumann. In this case, we go back to Straumann. Okay, in Straumann, you can favor them this way that you have them all the time. I use mainly BLX, but in this case we're gonna put a 3.3. So we're gonna do the BLT 3.3 by 10. So I press the implant, I press the position, and OK, and it dumps it in the position. Okay, automatically it does. Now, the nice feature of the coDiagnostiX is that you can press on this one, which it centers the selected implant with the tooth, with the site itself, and that's, look at it, it brings it up. Now another good feature, it brings this down to here. Now watch what you can do with it. So that's why it's important, because now when I turn the implant, I press on this. If I turn the implant like that, image turns with it. So that's why it's important. This is a beautiful feature that coDiagnostiX has. I can rotate the image all around, so I see where the position of the implant. So now I'm gonna line up this implant where I want it. Okay, and I'm gonna put it back up like that again, and I go back and I do a feature, right? Now you can see that this tooth here has a periapical, so we need to tell the dentist about it. And now I close this bigger view. Now I go back to here and I say, okay, I want to position it. Now if I position it like this, it's a problem. Now I'm preparing this for my student, I'm telling you everything, but I make a tooth. You make a tooth, number 10, he brings it here. Now you want to see how it occlude with the bottom, and we will get to that. All right, so see, this is where it is. I bring it down here, I turn it around, I fix it. Now you can see it is not really correct. I can do it like this. Yep, all right, and now I can take it even further, and I move it. So it's yellow, it moves. So I want to see how it's moving. Now I want to rotate it to line it up. And now I'm going to move it up. All right, because the lateral should be like this, but it looks very small for the side. So I'm going to turn it even a little bit like that. I'm going to move it back in here, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because this is too small, but I am going to make it bigger this way. All right, so it's a rough wax up. It's not real wax up because you do it on Synergy on another one, which we will do that. So now we close it and we have not proximity. No, it's a nice way to see where I'm coming out. So if I take this up like that, and then if my positioning coming from the cingulum or not. So I have some room to wiggle here. So I push the implant back like that. No, not that. Sorry, I screwed up here. I go back. Actually, I'm gonna do. Yeah, you can do this. Okay. Go back. Yeah, this is correct. All right, so look, there's something that happened here. No, see, I went back to 0. Okay, not a problem. I go back to it, I fix it. It's another exercise. Do it just to teach you a lesson not to put back, and now I can see, I'm seeing it live what I'm doing here on the model. Again, it should not take that much, so now here I'm going to widen it a little bit. Okay, and I turn it back up. I look at it from sides, it's pretty good. Yeah, and now I can make it a little bit taller. Yep, there you go. Back to this. So we are in good shape here. So I can move the implant back to here, back to here. I can even turn it a little bit, and I'm still coming from the cingulum. Now this we can verify it even further when we do the Synergy. So now we go to the sleeve. I pick the sleeve. This is for fully guided. The problem with fully guided in here, it's like you can't fit it in, so we'll make it H6. So these are 3 distances. If you go back, this is 2 millimeter from the implant. This is 4 millimeter from the implant. This is 6 millimeter. Now it's important because it's easier when you do a guide if you bring it away. Don't forget there is soft tissue that's going to be sitting here. Okay, so I close it here. I'm gonna go and see if I can fix this here, that I can print, because when you print it has to come all around. So I'm gonna press on movement, and I see if I turn the implant a little bit like that, we are still lined up and we still have space. It looks like it can work as a fully guided. Now 2.8 is different than the bigger diameters, because if you go back to sleeves, I can pick the 2.8, which is the final burr for a placement of 3.3. And then that's not fully guided. I mean, it is, but you cannot put the implant fully guided if you are trying to do a temporary on it. It's very important to know the difference between the 2 diameters, okay? And so now I place back to 5. I might go back to the 2.8. We will see how this will work. All right, so that is for this one. Now we're going to go for the STL. All right, so I load the model. I'm going to go to the where it is in desktop. What desktop? No, sorry. Made a mistake. Where is desktop here? Okay, there you go. That's desktop. Desktop. And I'm gonna look for Harry met Sally. Right. Okay. Now I take the upper, and boom, it brings it. So now I have it, and I say align to other object. So it takes me to this. That's why you need to have it cleaned up, right? So now I'm gonna make next. And now have them next to each other. Now, if I blow this bigger, then I will lose the screen recording. So I'm gonna try to do it within the limit without making it too big. And now I need to merge points to points. So this is a pretty damn clean DICOM. So I can take this region and I can say boom here, and I make them smaller. It lines up with this. I can do this. They say 3 points. I never listen to that. I like to do more because I think that you need more accuracy in the placement. Okay, I'm gonna use this one again. All right, see it lined up, but I don't care. I'm gonna go back and place one more here, and I'm gonna place. See those? I cannot see them. All of these. So I'm going to put one more here, one more here, and I'm going to put one more here, and one more here. Now, sometimes you can do it from the front. You know, you turn them like this, and you can do them from the front. Depends of which one is easier. Which see here, the occlusal. The easiest one is occlusal, but now we did it like this. Okay. So now I'm going to go to next. And it looks appear correct, but I don't care. I like to verify it. So you need to see how it's seated, so how the tooth is seated on it. And so you turn around, it turns you and turns you. Don't forget that, see, that's not bad. It looks okay, and it looks pretty good. All right. So because don't forget, he cut off when he took the STL, so that's why it looks like this.
Oh, so that's.
So I press finish. Okay. Yeah, because this is the way it's looking. So, but the rest is fitted. Now here you see the gaps. This is because of the scatter, but you see the tooth is here. All right, so now we have everything to do the guide. The next step will be just go to this. I take the upper. Now, let me back it up a little bit. It would be great to take the bottom. The problem in this case, they didn't give me the bite. They didn't register the bite. So if I say copy alignment, oh, they did. I apologize. So I take it back. It is. So you have to see if they. That's why it's important to do it with alignment. Now, why is it important? Because now you can see that the bite is edge to edge here, and it makes a huge difference. So now I go back to my area. And I close this down and I look at my bite. See this? It is edge to edge. So my planning of this tooth is perfect. Okay, and that's how the cingulum is coming. So you can't have a better design than this. So now all the informations are here. I go and I say, all right, I'm not doing the guide for the bottom. I'm doing it for the top. And then I go like this. Now, this is an important step because you can see if this, that's the master model, they call it. If it is going to print enough around it, and if it's going to fit. Sometimes you have to adjust in the surgery to have it to fit. So now I'm going to go next.
Do you always want it edge to edge, the bite?
No, the bite is here, in this case, edge to edge.
Okay. Just because that patient
is like that. I mean, this is doing it for my resident, but nevertheless, I want you to see what I can do. slowly you will learn. You can prepare that for me. So now I like to make this more like 14. Why? Because it will not print correctly, but it gives me a lot of bulkness in here, so it doesn't break when I thin it on the sides. Okay, so always go to 15 here. And now I pick the teeth. I always go cross arch. Okay, 4 is out, so I'm going to remove it. 5. See here, 5. All right. So I'm going to bring this back up like that. This is 5. Now don't worry about that. We will fix them. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. All right. So, okay. See here, it gave me 13 off for some reason. So why? Because 11 came here. So I go back and fix the 11. Back 12. Back 13. And back 14. Okay. The good thing about this system, different than the other system, is the exoplant, for instance. Exoplant, you have to draw them on a line. It doesn't come as accurate as this one. This is really, it's a phenomenal thing that they have. So I'm going to fix 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And, you know, I have experience with almost every planning system, well-known, Implant Studio, this, and it makes a huge difference. So now this is like that. I go next. This is an offset. We always set it for 0.15 and 3 millimeter thickness. So we already tested them all, and I feel comfortable with these thicknesses.
The offset is the outer?
No, the offset is the space between the tooth and the guide. You don't want to make it too tight. You don't want to make it too loose. So look, this is the problem. Remember, I told you it's going to be difficult, but that's okay. Look at it. You have good connection here. This is very weak connection here. Okay, and that's why we need to. Why you can see it? It's not. It did not merge it. See that?
Oh.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and I'm going to thicken it even further. It takes time, and I'm going to make it even thicker. See this? So more thicker, more it gives me substance. If it doesn't, then when I export it as an STL, I can take it to Mesh Mixer and I can add some barrels, like a more thickness.
Just so it won't break when you actually apply pressure.
See, even with all of this, it's still giving me a look. We have a good. It's getting, but still. So now I'm gonna go back to Mesh Mixer and I'm gonna fix it.
Sir, edit.
This is a problem, but you know, nothing is perfect. But if I do it back to 2.8, I eliminate all this problem. So I'm gonna cancel all of this. No, I don't want it to save it. And I'm gonna go back to the sleeve and implant. I'm going back to the sleeve and I'm going to make it 2.8 because it's impossible to have a guide that is correct. And here it gives me only 4 millimeter. That's okay. I go back to this and upper, and then I go back to this. You can see now I have more space. A huge difference, but it gives me exactly if I am lined up properly. And I go like this. So the inconvenience with that, you cannot put the implant guide in. But in BLT, it's not that self-tap, so the implant will always be in the same direction that you did the osteotomy. It cannot change. If you are in BLX, it's a big problem. So I go back to here. I can still thicken this one, and I go back 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14. Here I'm gonna do 5. Okay, so you can see them not really lined up properly, but that's okay. I go back 12, 13, 14, and 7, 8, 6, 5. Okay, so I have them all lined up. I go again, the same things. Now it gives me the guide. And look at it. See the difference? Okay, now I'm gonna line it up like this. I'm gonna make windows to open this. Okay, this is an inspection window. I know that I am seated on the tooth, and it takes away from me some of this extra material that I don't need. See that? I'm gonna bring it back up a little bit. Yep. Okay, so this way I can see the burr when it's going in. I'm making another one. And create another window like this for me. Okay. See, you have a good shot at it. And now another one here to make sure that it's completely seated. It's very important. Okay, and here I'm going inside, and I'm going to do next. Now, this is very important step. I'm going to preset the name, and I'm going to, for privacy here, so I'm going to, Harry, I'm going to remove Robinson, and I am going to do engrave. Now, engraving, it gives me the lineup of the implant. But since we are not doing it fully guided, it's not going to make a difference. But just for the taping of this, we're going to do it. And we're going to move forward. And now I'm going to apply, and it saves it. Okay, that's what it is. Now you have the guide made, and the next step is to export the guide. And when you go to do this, you press this, and now you press on export. It gives you all of this information. You make next, you press export, and it takes you to this. This is where you pay $40. Okay, so that's why we don't export until the patient makes an appointment and they are ready to move forward with it. All right, with that, that is how you plan a coDiagnostiX.